Hi, I'm with Sandra Zarati. She is the Vice President of Marketing for InfoPrint Global Solutions business.
Yes.
Now you just told me a little bit about a study you've done that really talks about how people like print and how they like to receive things like their magazines and so forth. And I guess this study's in 3 phases, so it'd be great if you could tell us a little bit about that. This is exciting stuff from your findings.
Absolutely. Well, we recognize that the print and magazine industry is really struggling in 3 key areas, and that's what we really wanted to solve for. Number 1, how do you integrate your online and offline experience? Number 2, how do you have a better retention rate for your subscriber base? And number 3, how do you regain advertising revenues by adding more value and more reaction to the advertisements that are placed in your magazine?
Well, those are all pretty key issues that every magazine publisher is wrestling with, one way or the other.
Absolutely.
And even when they have websites that are associated with their magazine, they wrestle with those issues. So what are some of the things you're finding?
Well, on the first point, what do consumers prefer? That's where we started. Let's take a look at where people are really connecting with printed matter. And what we found out is overwhelmingly 90% of consumers still prefer print as the venue for magazines. And we also asked them a little bit about these e-readers versus magazines.
Yeah,
interestingly enough, 67% said even with e-readers, they still want their magazine in print. So it's pretty significant in terms of the magnitude of consumers saying, I want my magazine in print.
That's something I've been wondering about, because you hear, okay, magazines aren't going to stay around because the e-readers are going to take over. But it's sort of like when you look at a web page and it's of a magazine, and you see, okay, well, here's a link I have to go to get the other piece of this article. Well, in a magazine, that would be a sidebar. But having put an awful lot of magazines together in my life, I like being able to look across the page and see the sidebar rather than have to click on a link that leads me to someplace else, and then I have to go back to the page. And I imagine that's one of the things people are thinking about.
Absolutely. I think creating a seamless customer experience, even when you're reading a magazine, is the key. You don't want to switch back and forth, and you don't want to have a hassle. And people still love the tactile feel of printed matter, especially when it's something that's very relevant to their interests.
Well, relevancy is one of the ultimate points you have to get with a magazine or any kind of communication. But in a magazine, of course, it's relevant to the reader anyway because it's something they're interested in, whether it's a magazine about fashion or cars or a sport. They read it because it has information that's relevant to them. And then how does that possibly translate into advertising?
So both for advertising and the subscriber base, we are hearing overwhelmingly that what's really working is when it's highly customized to the recipient, so that they know that it is speaking to them and it is worth their time to spend additional time to read the magazine, stay as a subscriber, or to respond to an advertisement.
And you begin to wonder as you look down the road, how much can magazine publishers start to do so that they start to customize some of their content even further so they can reach certain audiences more effectively, and especially when we know those audiences want to read out of a magazine and not online.
Exactly, and we heard consumers really say, sometimes the editor doesn't understand me. They've never really asked me what I want. Why don't they ask me what I want and then respond to it, and then I really feel engaged and I feel that they care about me.
That's true. And now the other extension of this, if you have a magazine that you know people are going to read and 92% of the people are going to prefer the magazine, it helps because those publications also have a website, also have a version of that magazine in print on the web. So now you can strengthen that bond for that publication to being both in print and electronic.
Absolutely. The integration of that online and offline is so key for magazines. Even when there is a preference for print, there will be some consumers who want to blend the experience, and I think making that very seamless is the key.
That's right, because there's so many things you can do on the web you can't do in print. Like you may have a story in the magazine that you also happen to have captured some video out for. So now you can have that on the web, but you can direct people there from the magazine, and it just strengthens that bond tremendously and continues to make it relevant for the reader.
Absolutely. You can do last-minute personalizations. You can do things that are very relevant. I've seen magazines use pearls to really connect with the individual subscriber.
This is exciting stuff. Now, I can't wait to see the next couple pieces of this survey. The data is going to be coming out over the next few weeks, right?
Coming soon, absolutely.
Well, I'll stay tuned, and we will have to have another conversation so you can update me on it. Now, this wasn't a small survey, though. You had over 1,000 people, right?
Over 1,000 people, pretty big sample size.
And the demographics on it weren't skewed the way you think they're going to be. Everyone says, oh, it's generational, younger people aren't going to read magazines, but it doesn't seem to be the case from your data.
Not at all. The younger people prefer the print, just it's not age specific, which was, I think, a little bit surprising to a lot of people.
Yeah, I think that probably rattled some people's cages. That's pretty cool.
We like to rattle the cage.
Yeah, that's right. Suzanne, thank you very much.
Thank
This is
you
great
so
to talk
much,
about.
Noel.
I'm looking forward to more.
Me too. Thank you.